This is the Theorist in the News project by J.J. Bonzani. Opening with some breaking news on some new weather updates. I believe first we will be moving to Abraham Maslow reporting on California wildfires. Now this is a big story in the news recently as wildfires spread across California and create mass destruction. Introducing our first reporter who was on the scene and gave us notes, we have Abraham Maslow. And if you don't know Abraham Maslow, he's an American who was born in Brooklyn, New York. He's the son of 2 Jewish immigrant parents. He's also the oldest of 7 in a very, very poor family, which is where a lot of his take on this might stem from. One of the big things that we're going to be looking at is the effect of wildfires on people's quality of life, especially their ability to meet their basic fundamental needs and physiological needs. Now, Maslow explained this to us very well. He called it his hierarchy of needs. Firstly, we have those physiological needs, like I said, and one of the big things that's going to affect meeting those physiological needs in a time like this for those affected in California is going to be the use of clean water and obviously being able to find food and stay away from the imminent threat of fire. That's going to highly affect their physiological ability to find and fulfill this need to a certain percent. Nextly is their safety needs. Obviously can't be oversold on this one. As these wildfires encroach, Maslow noticed and took note of how drastically this is affecting people's ability to find safety. As homes are burned and people lose loved ones, it's not easy. Next, he talked about the love and belonging and how it's affecting this community currently. Love and belonging is a very, very important need for humans, as Maslow described to us. And it's hard for them to find this right now as communities are scattered and thrown into this whirlwind of an event. After that, we have their ability to, people need to have esteem. They need to feel like they're in control of things, feel like they can do something. And right now, these wildfires are making it very hard for people to feel like they can get anything done and really affect their life, which is going to very much affect their esteem. And lastly, he noted this, but we all know that it wouldn't be possible at this moment because it's hard to reach in the best of conditions, is this idea of self-actualization that Maslow explained to us on air. He explained this as meeting all of those lower needs and striving for more. And so obviously these lower needs aren't being met right now, so it's going to be really hard to find peace and to really find yourself in a time like this as you're just trying to get through the day. Maslow was probably our best reporter on this. As you go through such a tough time and you see these massive effects on people's welfare, Maslow described perfectly how this is going to really affect community and even affect individuals personally as well as a whole. And we think that as an American, he truly understood quite a lot how bigly this is affecting our entire economy, our communities, and our country as a whole. And as I mentioned before, Maslow actually came from a very large family, so community and being part of a family is a big deal to him. And so he personally resonates a lot with this particular struggle as somebody who comes from a family and has lost a lot and never had much to start with. It's not an easy time for anybody, and we think Maslow, of all people, he understands it the best. I believe next we will be moving into our next theorist who will be reporting on climate change controversy, this is also a global, but Eric Erickson, our reporter, he comes from a German family. He was a German citizen born in Frankfurt, Germany. He had a pretty complex home life, raised by his stepfather, and he really struggled to find a sense of identity within this. he has a really unique perspective on these climate change controversies as we talk about these controversies such as validity of the science and which is being done and how truly it affects our daily lives and how it affects how we view the world as we grow up within this struggle. I think that Erickson, he made some good points on just that unease and that unsureness of where you come from and not having that stability in your younger years. It really affects how you view the world and creates this sense of mistrust, which he described to us these a couple stages of development, a couple conflicts that he thinks are very important for everybody to go to and come out of the other side. And starting off for our young generation growing up in this climate change controversy where everybody's kind of got an opinion and a lot of it's pretty controversial and polarizing, is that sense of trust or mistrust from our younger generation. He said that might really affect that as we grow up and have a possibly just a larger mistrust of this these controversies around us, and a mistrust is maybe even human population as a whole, mistrust of science and government and politics as they all kind of squabble to figure this out. Next is identity versus role confusion, which he talked about, and that's a tough one. I mean, as people try to find this baseline of who they are and what they believe, and they're being affected by some really hot topic, big ideas from the start, and that's really going to affect a lot of this idea of how they understand their own identity within the world and what their role is within it. And it might lead to a lot of that role confusion, making this obstacle a lot harder to get over from Erickson's notes that he gave us. Generativity versus stagnation, which was one of his bigger points within this, maybe not as big as his last one that he decided to hit on. Generativity versus stagnation. As this younger generation is growing up, how are they dealing with this? How are they deciding to combat these problems and think about these problems? Such as, generativity in the sense that, do they feel they can do anything about these problems? Do they feel like they can make a change on this world around them? And if not, they might reach this stage of stagnation as they grow up, and that really affects the way that they view the world. If they feel like they can't do anything about this problem, then they will reach that stage of stagnation. But if they feel, they are compelled to a career such as in the environmental sciences, then maybe they will create some idea of generativity no matter what they do. Lastly is integrity versus despair, which he describes as showing up later in development, but we can also see affecting our younger generations in the sense that, can they look back on what the human race as a whole is doing and feel good about it? Can they look back and feel comfortable with what they've done and what others have done to fix this problem and to meet this problem in a way that it should be? And this comes a lot from Erickson's childhood, and we can see that, but it's time to move on. Next, we have the ever-infamous Sigmund Freud, who's reporting on another hot topic, which is our mass shootings within the U.S. So, our reporter, Siggy, born into what is now Freiburg, Czech Republic. I may have butchered that name, but he didn't call me about this. He just sent notes over. He had a very complicated home life, as he, in deep detail, described to us, which we didn't really ask for, but he's told us anyway. He had a very close bond with his mother, maybe even a little bit too close, based on some of the things he was saying. He's kind of a strange guy, but he's a good theorist. He's one of the first, so that's why we decided to take his view in on this. So some keynotes: our superego, our id, and our ego. He really talked about this a lot as we were talking about this problem specifically, especially the id and these instinctive actions of aggressive instincts that are inborn and are present within every person and are affecting our daily life. And he really talked a lot about how our superego and ego are working to balance this and to balance out these id impulses, and how that might look in somebody who decides to take a wrong step and commit an act such as this, he decided that those id impulses and being able to control those may be a very, very essential thing in understanding why this is happening within our youth. For the unconscious mind, he wanted to talk a lot about just these unconscious impulses that maybe everybody has, but we're really seeing them here. Unconscious impulse and these unconscious thoughts that aren't being controlled or balanced correctly. Nextly is this idea that he described to me in length, this thanatos, this drive towards death and destruction that he believes every person has. He believes that is playing a very, very large role within this issue. As you can see, this is a drive that isn't instrumental. There's no good reason for it. And his reason, the way he decided or said that he thinks maybe driving a lot of these actions is this thanatos, this idea that we're all driven towards death and destruction in some way. I think he's pretty pessimistic about this and has a pretty messed up childhood. And as we noted in the slides, far, far too much cocaine is involved to really be 100% sure of anything. But either way, he does bring some good points to this, and we do appreciate his input. I believe that ending it out on that somber and serious note, that we will wrap it up there. That is our news for the week. We hope that you go out and find some generativity and some integrity, not despair and confusion. Thank you.